Hello, everyone. Welcome to this episode of the Manxiety Podcast.
We're your hosts, Ashad and Matt. Before we get started, if you're enjoying this show, please subscribe so you can get notified of new episodes.
If you want to share this with your friends, you can find us on all podcasting platforms, including Apple Podcasts and Spotify.
This week, we're talking about MySpace.
What's up?
And
Here's
no-
my song, everybody. My top 8. Let's go. Chicka chicka, yeah. Top 8. Top
Poke.
8.
Poke?
No, that was Facebook, dude. Poking was Facebook.
No. Well, was it?
Yeah, that was like
You're
a
right,
revelation
It
on
was- It
Facebook.
was old school Facebook. Wait, what do we have on MySpace other than the super HTML-y web pages and the top
MySpace was everybody learned HTML. You had the top
Yep.
8. Everybody picked a song intro.
Yep. Oh, and we had like the backgrounds that like stuff was going down on and shit was happening in the background. That was really cool.
Yeah, like people learned like CSS, and then they started learning Flash, and then they became the world's first ever programmers based on MySpace.
Yeah, that
Thank
was
you,
fun.
Tom.
So that's what we're talking about today. The rise and fall of MySpace.
Yep.
And how after MySpace fell, the anxiety of my and Matt's anxiety story began.
Yeah, 100%. Real quick on MySpace, just because it's hilarious. There was a script that you could run back in the day that automatically, whoever was looking at your page, it would put them on the top of your top 8, and it would randomize the rest. So I got a lot
That's
of
really
comments
funny.
on my wall. Remember when walls were a thing? I got a lot of comments on my wall where people were like, "Oh my god, I can't believe I'm number 1." And it was like all these chicks in high school, and I was like, they're gonna figure out real quickly that it's fake because they all can't be number 1. I had to like start
All of them
deleting
are, like-
comments and shit. Yeah, it's like, god damn it.
That's pretty funny.
No.
But no. Anyway, we are talking about MySpace, but not the MySpace that you're thinking of. We're talking about like MySpace. Like
We're on the same wavelength. I was just about to make that joke, my man.
what can I say, man? We're in our space right now. No, but we're
Yes.
talking about like spaces, right? Like places that like to gather, right? Or like to hang out, or for a lot of guys, I know Matt wants to bring this one up, so I'll leave the locker up to him. But like you go to the spa or like the sauna, right? Like you're hanging out, in a sauna, or you go to like a bar. You're hanging out at the bar with some of your buddies, or you have poker night and you're hanging out in your garage that's been converted into a super cool game room, which mine hasn't yet, but maybe someday. Who knows? But we're talking about those kind of spaces, right? Sort of places where people gather, men and women gather, but specifically men in this case, and just how those spaces are for us guys, and how it can actually help with anxiety. I hadn't thought of that before, but shooting the shit with some of your friends helps a lot with anxiety. Even though guys don't really talk about anxiety, right, and don't talk about that stuff, that's kind of like a safe space where guys do feel comfortable talking about things. And even though we may not get emotional, in most cases, a lot of times we'll just we'll screw with each other and we'll make jokes and get into random wrestling matches, and it makes us feel better. But specifically, so and it's not only physical spaces either. In some cases it can be virtual spaces, like when you're gaming with some friends, right? Or doing something along those lines. You're on Discord or you're on some sort of video chatting app or something, just hanging out, talking to your friends, even on the phone. Maybe you have a group chat going on. Maybe you're calling, what was that number?
867-5309.
No. It's 1-800-474-1474. You
I don't
remember that?
know.
That was
I don't
the
know
chat.
that is.
That was the chat hotline.
Like a pay-by-hour chat hotline?
No. Like when you would call in and you would be matched with someone random, and then you could talk to people on the phone. You never did that? I used to do
no.
that all the time. Me and my cousins, anytime we would gather together, so this was like kind of like our space, right? Anytime we would like have a party or like whatever, right? We would like, eat, maybe have something to drink, hang out, and then we would all go into the car, right? And we would call these these phone lines, these random hotlines. I'm pretty sure it still exists too. Oh, let me see. 4741 4747. I think that was the number.
Well, do you know what fuck, I can't remember now.
Chat hotline. Hold on.
8675309. Do you know what that is? That's Jenny's number.
That's Jenny's number?
Yeah, it's from the song like Jenny's number.
Uh,
If you look it up, you'd play it, but like it's one of the most popular numbers. So pro tip, if you're ever at like a Ralph's or like a grocery store where you need to enter a membership, typically what people do is they put the area code and then 8675309 because somebody has given that number as a fake because it was such a popular number back in the day that there exists an account, like, you know, like a little quick membership that like is there. Also, you can just ask the cashier to like, I don't have a membership, could you please use the one that's literally sitting on top of the cash register, and they will give you the discount.
Yeah, they usually will. But anyway, so that was our space, right? Like me and my cousins would get together. This is when we were younger. We'd hang out in the car. We would call this hotline. We would, you know, talk to random people, screw around. Sometimes we would do funny voices. Sometimes we would make jokes. Sometimes you got assholes on there and we would cuss them out. Who knows? No one knew what you were going to get. It was a surprise every time. So that was kind of like our space when we were young, right? We'd get together, we'd hang out, we'd talk to random people, we would talk to each other, you know, in between calls when you were trying to get connected to someone new. You know, talk about what's going on in your life. Maybe if you're seeing a new girl, if you're having girl problems, I feel bad for you, son. I got 99 problems, but a bitch ain't. No.
You take that back immediately.
But no, so it was a really, you know, it was a really safe space and like open space to communicate, even though we were screwing around and having a good time. It was also a place where we can let loose and, you know, forget about your worries for a little bit, right? And just hang out and do whatever, screw around.
Sing Hakuna Matata.
Exactly. How about you, Matt? Have you had any spaces of your own?
Yeah, so all of that's really great because it's basically like, I know like sometimes safe space is kind of like a meme now because people just say it to just almost like say it as like an insult, like people need safe spaces. But at the end of the day, like most people feel somewhat comfortable being in their own space, like the boundaries that they set, right? Like their bed, shower, things that are like personal space for a lot of people. Like most people feel pretty comfortable in their personal space, hopefully. And then when you extend that out to your friends, your family, coworkers, strangers, whatever, it's like you start to like have different spaces that you kind of form, right? Because you're going to probably talk to your coworkers very different than you talk to your best friends, maybe different than you talk to your family, probably 100% different than you're talking to strangers, different than you're going to be talking to somebody trying to hit on all this stuff, right? You kind of like put on all these different faces. And at the end of the day, when you feel comfortable with somebody and you're able to talk about real issues, it's something that is very crucial to your social development and very crucial to your happiness. So, you know, if me and Ashad didn't feel comfortable talking to each other and creating that safe space and like having, instead of my space and his space, our space, right, throughout college and after college, when we were talking about anxiety, we wouldn't have been here today. Right. So he was like, obviously, if you've heard, you know, the intro story, how we met and we talked about it. And like, we both were kind of like, yeah, we're going through this stuff. We didn't really understand what it was. You know, how do we fix it? Right. And there wasn't really a path forward because most guys, the way that we kind of interact in our safe spaces, or like what Ashad was saying, I want to talk about like locker room talk, right? People say, like, oh, that's just guys in the locker room type of thing. Right. It's very much like, it can be very fun. But sometimes it's just like people will just joke about stuff, and it's not. Sometimes it's not like not seen as a safe space, depending on it. But for I think a lot of people, it's kind of just a place where you can just bullshit with your buddies, talk freely, call people names, and like say stupid shit, and really just like express yourself in a way that you probably feel like you can't anywhere else.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, throughout, middle school, high school, and I talked about sort of virtual spaces, but like playing video games with the guys was probably one of the things that I look forward to the most, and one of the most relaxing things I did pretty much all day, right? And, video games can get stressful, but we would like there was so much shit talking going on, and like when I say shit talking, I'm not saying like we're talking shit about each other or others, just like screwing with each other, right? And like sort of shooting the shit and just playing around. And for most guys, I think, at least for me, doing that kind of stuff is fun and it's relaxing. And I don't know, you just when you're close to someone and you have friends that you're close to and you're able to screw around with them in that way, and everyone knows that it's not anything personal, you're all just having a good time. It brings people a little bit close together, right? It's kind of like that humor. I mean, to be fair, sometimes people do take it too far. I've taken it too far before. I've had other people take it too far before. But in most cases, it's a good time. And like, you don't really remember, right? Even if you take it too far in the moment, someone's like, hey, like, chill out. Like, that was a little bit too far. But 5 minutes later, you guys are screwing around again and having a good time. So I feel like that's what it is. It's just like, in everyday life, we don't get a lot of that kind of interaction, right, with others. If you're at work, if you say something wrong, in most cases, it can get you fired. It can get HR involved. It can do whatever. If you're out in public at a bar or something and you say something, it can get you in a fight. It can get you kicked out of the bar. You don't have a lot of those spaces to do that. If you're in a relationship, maybe some relationships are like this, but most cases, if you start, calling your significant other names and, I mean, to some extent, maybe you guys do that and screw around. But if you start like, sort of acting like you do with the guys or with the girls or whatever, vice versa, it's probably not very good for your relationship. So that's the thing. It's like, it's a space where you can do that kind of stuff and there's no repercussions, right? Or there's no lasting damage. It's just for fun.
Yeah, that's like super important about the way that it's defined, right? As like a place where, like you said, there's no lasting damage. You're just having fun. Like there's times when we say awful shit to each other when we're playing video games. Like Shot will have like the least amount of kills on the team, and I'm like, you suck. Like, why are you even playing this game? Just go uninstall it, whatever, blah, blah, blah. But then what'll happen is next game, like, I'm never bottom frag. I was going to say I'm bottom frag, and then he's talking shit.
He's bottom fragged. He's trying to not admit it on air, but he's bottom fragged before.
I can admit that. It takes a real man to admit your weaknesses. I've never bottom fragged.
You literally 2 seconds ago, you weren't admitting it.
Yeah, I just said I've never bottom fragged. I can admit that. a shot made this fucking face.
that was the you're dumb face.
I know, but that's the thing, right? Like we're just bullshitting, and like we have such a good relationship that we know we can like tease each other and play around, and at the end of the day, like no matter what we say here or in our personal space together, or even amongst friends, like we're still going to be friends.
Let's hope so.
Wow, dude, look at that with the threats already. With the threats, look at this guy, dude.
No, before you continue though, like all these spaces we're talking about, like this podcast is one of those spaces for us, right? I mean, me and Matt are constantly screwing with each other on this podcast and giving each other a hard time and everything, and we're honestly just having a good time. Like, I'd say like 90% of the time we're talking on this podcast, like we're either both smiling or one of us is smiling or one of us is laughing or something's going on. Like Matt has the biggest smile on his face because. Again, we're just we're having a good time. We're talking about, I mean, serious stuff, but we're trying to make it, easy to listen to and fun for us too, right? We want people to be happy listening to it and to get the information they need and to hear our experiences, but also we don't want to just sit here and be bland about it. How much fun would that be? We just want to screw each other and hopefully give everyone else a laugh every now and then.
Not a lot of fun at all. Mr.
What is
Robot
this?
says no anxiety overload.
Anxiety overload. Anxiety overload.
Could you?
Anxiety overload. Anxiety overload. Anxiety. I'm just kidding, guys. I'm sorry. That was probably horrible to listen to, huh?
Yeah. Could you imagine if we were just monotone? We're like, now everyone at home, please take your meditation, exercise, diet, sleep. I don't know why. I always get like a half British accent when I try to be monotone. It doesn't make any sense. I had to do it the other day at work for something to sound monotone. And yeah. But hey, if you have a monotone voice, by all means, that's cool too. Your voice is your voice, man. Please use it for good and not for evil. Unless you're a Sith, and then you can join my side because the Sith are the coolest. Anyways, yeah, so it's like, just like Ashad said, this is very much a safe space for us to talk about shit, right? And we are kind of inviting you into that space through the podcast, right? Through the audio medium, hopefully soon through video as well. And realistically, it's just something where like we want to be real about our experiences because it may help you at home. If you're going through something similar, you can say, look, these guys have gone through it. I kind of know a little bit about them, right? More than just like maybe a regular podcast where you just know somebody's name and you hear their voice, right? You probably know more about us and our story than hell, even we know. Because sometimes we forget, you know? Ashad will tell me the same story over and over again about how he, I don't know. What's your
Tell me, Matt. What do I tell you about?
Shit. Walked into a corner. I would say probably the story you tell the most is basically how like you get stomach pains from your anxiety.
Bro, it's not a story. That's a fact.
But you tell me the story about it. Anyways, I notice sometimes that happens with me.
What story have I told you about it?
I get the runs if I'm really stressed out.
Yeah.
TMI. I should have spoiler TMI warning, but it's okay. Yeah,
it happens. I have noticed that I'm a little bit more under control now, though, which is pretty cool. I think that means my anxiety is a little bit more manageable.
Could you imagine if you could just tell everything in your life about your shits? Now we're going to talk about shits for, a few minutes here.
Have you ever seen Big Bang Theory?
I've seen
Sheldon
episodes.
tracks his shits all the time, and he knows exactly what's going on with his body through every single shit.
There's one of my friends had this thing in his bathroom that was the Captain's log, where you literally write out as if you're a pirate the shits that you take.
Yeah.
And it's one of those books you buy like the bookstore where it's like, how big was the shit, whatever. That stuff actually does matter because healthy shit matters. And like, let me tell you, if you have anxiety and the first time you shit a different color, you're probably freaking the fuck out. We went to this restaurant, had brunch.
Well, it depends on the color. I mean, if you're shitting rainbows, you're probably not freaking out. You're thinking you're a unicorn.
I ate a unicorn once. Me and Voldemort were kicking it, and he shared a little bit. That's why.
Why would you eat the unicorn? You just need to drink its blood. You know nothing about the Harry Potter universe, Matt. Just please stop.
I've read the
You're
picture
embarrassing
books.
yourself.
I've read the picture books because they have nice pictures. I don't know where I was going with that. I totally got off track on that one.
I'm glad because you don't know. You were just butchering Harry Potter. So yes, please don't say.
You're being a
Potter.
Dementor right now. Can I expecto Patronum you away?
You can expect my Patronum.
I was just thinking of like dirty Harry Potter pickup lines. Fun side note, there's a image that exists on the internet if you search Harry Potter Wang instead of wand. Somebody did a retelling of like one of the paragraphs when he's picking out the wand, and it's like, and then Harry touched the 12-inch Wang and he knew that it was too powerful for him, so he grabbed the 8-inch lighter Phoenix infused Wang, and it's fucking hilarious.
That's
just go
hilarious.
check that out. If you're having a good day, bad day, whatever, enjoy a little laughter. And if you think that's crude humor, then I'm sorry, because this is my safe space.
Yeah, sure. Anyway, so on to other safe spaces, Matt. I said you would mention the locker room, but you never mentioned the locker room.
I did. Did you not listen? I literally said it's like locker room talk.
That was it. That was the whole. That was
well, you did such a great job. I'd use that as an example. We had a little pre-talk powwow.
I didn't know. I thought the locker room was a big part of your middle school journey or something, dude.
Oh no, we didn't have lockers. I for sure would have been the kid that got stuffed in one though. I was like the nerdy kid, but I was kind of too
I mean,
tall
if,
for
if
a
you
locker.
want, I can stuff you in one next time I see you, and you can experience that too.
Yeah, you're gonna stuff me in your locker.
Not in that way.
Shit, I guess my safe is in that space. I need to backpedal a little bit here.
But no,
No,
and,
I mean, oh, go ahead.
no, you go ahead.
I was gonna say, like, in general, it's like when people talk about like the locker room talk, right? And it applies to, everyone really. Like, I had a friend who was they had a book club, and they were like,
We know it's you, Matt. Anytime you say I have a friend, like, just say I'm in a book club, and then continue.
I wish I was in a book club. The funny thing is, I always say I have a friend, and I think people may think it's just the same people, but it's because I don't want to name names because I hate like outing people if they don't want me to tell them, like tell stories about them. Anyways, I have a friend, and I was talking to her because they have a book club, and they were like, I was like, oh, can I join? Right? Because I'm all into book clubs, like a shot set. And she's like, no, you can't join because you're a guy. And I was like, that is sexist. How dare you? You have a women's only book club. How dare you not let me join? Kind of jokingly, right? Because she's like, well, yeah, because there's a place that we need to just talk about like women issues and all this stuff. And she's like, you wouldn't want to hear about our periods and everything else going on with us. And like, she's like, and I was like, oh, you just use this as a time to like talk about boys, huh? That's what it is. That's your safe space, right? Is to talk about the guys in the group. She's like, no, we never talk about that. And I was like, yep, that's confirmation right there. But my point to her was just, I was like, I fully support you to have this separate group where you feel safe to talk about whatever issues you're going through, whether it be with men, women, children, if they're smart enough, who knows, and allowing yourself to get those things off your chest and to kind of be the real version of yourself. Because everybody says it like jokingly, right? Like, oh, it's just locker room talk, boys will be boys type of shit. But it is a space that kind of like gets made fun of a lot, but it is also a space that like you can kind of be yourself and really much like make mistakes when you're around your best friends, your bros, maybe in this case like a sports team if it is a literal locker room that we're talking about, and you're able to make mistakes and then kind of set your own boundaries with people and have people set boundaries back with you. So if you go too far, somebody will tell you, hey, that wasn't funny. It's not cool that you actually made fun of that particular thing, right? Like, a lot of times people will say shit like, oh, I fucked your mom or whatever. And then sometimes you're like, nah, dude, like that's not cool. Like his mom passed away or something like that, right? And it's like very quickly you find where those boundaries are with people. And sometimes they can take it too far because you're just cracking a joke. You're trying to be funny, trying to get excitement, be center of attention. And then there is that point, right? And when you learn those points and people are serious, it helps you understand their boundaries, but it also helps them with setting boundaries. So it's something that within that safe space, when you are able to say to somebody like, I don't like you talking about that, then that's fine. Like I had a coworker, we would just riff on each other every day. Like that was all we would do for lunch. Like we'd go to the cafeteria at lunch and we would just talk shit to each other. And a lot of times I'd win because I'm just used to it with my friend group. So I'm a little more creative, right?
You used to have a lot of shit to talk about.
Yeah, 100%, dude.
You're full of shit. That's what I was trying to get to. Anyway.
Yeah. 100%. I'm I'm clogged up or whatever. I need some prune juice. Anyways, and there's one time where like I made a joke and he kind of looked like sad, like it actually hurt his feelings. And I usually preface this like when we do these like little roast battles with any of my friends, like, look, if I ever say something that is like actually off limits for you and I go too far, because I'm known to just like take a joke and see where it goes, right? Let me know and I will never talk about it again. Or if you're like, hey, dude, your jokes are kind of dickish, like I just won't make fun of you anymore. Like I never want to. I always do it to like entertain people. I never want to do it to hurt somebody's feelings, right? And I think that's where it kind of comes down to the intent. Like judge me by the intent of my actions, not where they land, type of thing. Because sometimes you may say something, it's supposed to be funny, it's not funny. And if somebody says, hey, it's not funny, then you just say, okay, I'm sorry. You apologize. Don't make the same mistake again. And then you move on, right? And if we did that as a people, as a society, I think we'd be in a lot better place because you'd actually feel that your ideas are being validated, right? A lot of times it's tough as a guy to go like, hey, I have anxiety. I've struggled with depression. And a lot of times people won't especially guys, won't ever say anxiety or depression. They will say, I'm just really sad. I'm a little bit out of mind right now. Or they will say, I'm worried about the future. Yeah, I'm worried about the future. Exactly.
Yeah.
Right? Like if somebody actually says the word like I have anxiety or I was going through a very anxious time, most people just say stress. If they say it, then I usually dig a little bit deeper because it's like, okay, you understand what that is and what it means and you said it. So for me, it's like a trigger word to say like, you know, how's your experience with that been, right? It's okay that you feel anxiety. I also feel anxiety. I've gone to therapy, all those types of things, and to like really be a shoulder for people to like lean on or cry on or whatever the phrase is, because then they're like, oh shit, this guy's opening up to me. Now I feel safe talking to him about something, right? It's kind of like you peel back an extra layer on the onion that is somebody's life, right? To make a Shrek reference in this, right? It's like what does he say? Like onions have layers or whatever.
I have no clue which quote you're talking about, but
from Shrek.
The only Shrek quote that I know is, wait, how'd it go? It's like, if it's it's either gonna come out the front or the back. No, shit.
What? Shit. Yeah, shit can come out the front or out the back. I guess not really the front.
Yeah, well, he's basically talking about like burping or farting.
Oh, okay, gotcha. I haven't seen Shrek. Shrek came out like 20 years ago, dude. I haven't seen Shrek since it's come out. It had like its 20th anniversary, and I felt old immediately.
Oh no, the quote is "better out than in." I always say. There you go.
Okay.
Yeah.
There you go, man. And if you have a safe space, you can feel free to fart in front of your friends. You know?
Yeah, we do it with Matt all the time because he can't smell anyway.
Yeah. And I have to apologize a lot because I will fart in front of my friends and not realize that it may smell like absolute shit.
That's horrible.
Based on my dietary preferences.
That's horrible, Matt.
Like, I used to roll down the window in cars.
There's no manners, bro. You have no manners.
No, I'm good now. I used to roll down the windows in cars because I would want air, right? So I'd like crack the window and just like get a little bit of fresh air. And I didn't realize that that's something that people do when they fart so that it doesn't smell. Because I kept doing it on one trip, like a long trip, and someone's like, dude, you're farting a lot. And I was like, I haven't farted once. What do you mean? Like, you keep cracking the window. I was like,
that's pretty funny.
I need air. Like, what does that mean? And they're like, yeah, that's what normal people do when they fart. So
no, I always crack the window anyway.
The things that you learn when you just like have no experience with shit. Like I learned that laundry detergent lingers.
What do you mean?
Like that my sheets will have a certain smell based on the laundry detergent that I use.
Yeah.
I thought it was like laundry detergent was like one and done and it just made it not smell. I had no fucking clue.
Nope. There's definitely a smell.
But anyways, this isn't a podcast about me and my disability and not being able to smell. It's a podcast about my space, your space, our space, safe space. Any other spaces?
And this is the end space. You like that?
That was catchy. Later we can go to the space bar.
Not bad. I got nothing else to say to that.
All right, well
then
let's
anything else to say about spaces?
Nope. Let's just put some space between us and the listeners at home and end another great episode here. We hope that you learned a little bit more about kind of what a safe space actually is for people, and also hopefully you have some friends that you can build that community with and talk to them about. And if not, try to make more friends. You can reach out to us if you're going through anxiety related issues. By all means, email us, DM us, tweet us, whatever else the kids use these days. We're not on TikTok. Sorry. We don't do any crazy dances about anxiety. It just hasn't happened yet. Thing.
We're also not on, what's the other new one that people use? Where did you Telegram?
Telegram is like a I guess people do groups, but it's just like a text message app.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, it's like a
I've
Telegram.
Never used it. I don't know.
A literal Telegram.
I don't know what the new kids are doing. Anyway, thank you all for listening. We'll talk to you guys again on Thursday.